Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight, and my guest tonight is writer and director Mark Murtha, co-writer Owen Simcox, Tom Angeletti, who did a fantastic job in shooting the film, actress Alexis, actress Lewis. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good. Robin, thank you so much for having us on today.
Yeah, hey, no problem. I saw your Halloween fan film, this 78 slasher. And first off, I need to start off. Tom, you shot that film very beautifully. I love how you shot it. It felt like I was watching a VHS tape in my VCR of a tape I rented from a mom and pop store. That's the kind of feel I had how you shot it.
That was... Oh, man, that was the feel. That was exactly the vibe we were going for. When Mark blessed me with the honor of DPing this film, I said, we have to make it look old. We have to make it look grainy. I want it to look like the old drive-ins, the crackles, the pops, all the imperfections. And we shot it all on vintage lenses to make sure we're nailing that shot every single time. So all harsh lighting. We weren't really doing a lot of cove lighting or book lighting, very advanced, lighting techniques, just straight light, half blue, half dark on the shape, and just everything else just, try to be as 70s.
Now, let's go to Alexis. I was talking to her before the podcast. She was really never into horror films at all, and this was her first, horror film short she was ever in, and you play Nancy. So how's it feel?
Yes.
To be welcome into the world of horror?
I absolutely love it. Like, my induction has been a great experience from everyone in front of and behind the camera, gently easing me into, the reactions that are believable, but also sticking with the genre. Kind of the slow motion running instead of like running full speed ahead. I don't know. It's such a different beast, and I'm so excited to delve more into that world and watch more and get inspired by more, because I haven't seen a lot of horror, and I know Mark's probably covering his eyes right now, but yeah.
Oh, we know Mark is, because Mark is a crazy horror fanatic like me, because we both love Halloween. We do. We've talked about it all the time. I've showed him pictures of me being murdered by Michael Myers, and he talks about his Michael Myers stuff. I'll have to send the pictures, but yeah. All right, Owen, you're the co-writer of the 78 slasher Halloween fan film. How'd you get together with Mark and pick his twisted, messed up head?
Yeah, it was earlier this last year, actually 2023. I was just talking to Mark about how much I missed making horror movies. I love making them, and I've always wanted to get one going with him. And he had the idea for 78 Slasher, and he kind of hit me up and tried to invite me in, and it kind of spiraled from there into him involving me more and wanting me to be involved more. And he does have a very twisted brain. I'll tell you that.
Also, Mark, you got to play the Shape. How much fun did you play as the Shape?
Oh, it's a dream role of mine. So, getting to embody someone so evil and so emotionless, and trying to convey that with a mask on, it's just so much fun. Just being Michael Myers.
Now let's go to Lewis, who plays Ben. Boy, your character kind of remind me of this, like, oh, I'm a bad boy, but I can be a little goofy at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely embodied both parts, goofy but bad boy. And I think for my character, I just wanted it to fall flat, because whenever you look back on like 80s horror, you always root against that guy ultimately. Like just the tropes. You're just like, oh, this is supposed to be the big macho man, and ultimately you're just like, this guy kind of sucks. And that's what I wanted to embody.
Yeah, Ben was getting on my nerves in the film. I wanted to kill him myself. I would have pushed the Shape out of the way and stabbed you myself.
Oh, exactly. And that's what you want it to be sweet. You want to root against the victims. You don't want to sympathize with them too much, because then you're like, oh, this is mean-spirited. That's the fun of it. That's the fun of the horror.
Now let's go back to you, Alexis. You play Nancy, and
Yeah.
you had a scene with Mark is Michael. That final scene between you guys. How much preparation did you take to really fully get into that role, to be all scared out when Mark was coming after you as Michael Myers in that gripping scene?
That was the first shot of the day. And Mark and I did not, plan out our action scene at all. We kind of just delved into it, and it made it more believable. Just the way that we just synced up in action, reaction, and just, fully embodying the moment was beyond. I think Mark can attest to that too. I think we were both pretty shocked with how we were able to choreograph that so well.
Yeah, that was actually the very first shot of the film. Was us coming into the garage and doing that whole sequence. And I remember we were like, all right, how do we want to do this? And Alexis was just like, let's just go for it. Let's make it realistic. Let's go. We both left with bruises.
Yeah, we did. It was so good, though. It was so good.
Another thing.
I just naturally am Nancy. Like, Mark can attest to it. That's just my personality. I didn't really have to act much to be Nancy.
Now, Mark, I like the homage. You put a little Easter egg in it, which I kind of geeked out. I'm probably the only person that likes a certain film of the Halloween franchise, which was Halloween 3. I love the silver shamrock mask. That dude was cool wearing that mask.
Yeah. I threw a lot of homages in there to, a lot of the past Halloween films. Like you get to see me as, in the whole Corey Cunningham scarecrow outfit from Halloween Ends, the pumpkin mask, the skull mask from Halloween 3. And we just really tried to really phone in to show our love to this franchise.
I loved it because it was beautifully shot. I mean, I'm probably one of the few people that liked Halloween 3, but that's okay. Now, Tom, since you were shooting the film and all that, I love the shots you did of Mark is the shape. I love the natural lighting shots where you zoom in on him, like when he's standing at the party, you see half the light on the mask and the other half you can't see because it's in dark. I love how you mix the dark and natural lighting to make that shot very creepy.
Yeah, that's one thing we wanted to do with every single shot of the shape, especially outside. Really harsh blue on the one side, then a little bit of light, almost darkness on the other, just to keep that illusion, especially when very first shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we come in, Lewis turns around, nice mask, amigo, and he's sitting there by the bush. We had to get that iconic bush shot, right? Where he's standing over there. So ever since then, we had to just keep going with that look, and I think it really pays off. I love it. I love it so much.
And you guys also had another actor in your film, too. I know him real well. It's Patrick Johnson. He played one of the deputies.
Yes, Patrick is amazing. He is such a joy to work with. Such a joy.
He was so funny. That scene with his dorky partner who gets hit by a rotten egg. And
that was one of the most fun scenes to film. So a little fun tidbit is the actor that played, the dorkier cop, Nick Studer, was actually my assistant director. And we kind of threw him in that role that day as we had an actor drop out. And we told him, we're just going to kind of do dialogue. We're not going to throw the egg just yet. And this was all Tom's idea, so props to Tom. When Nick least expected it, we threw the eggs right at him.
No idea it was coming.
Yeah, let's talk about the score to the film. I love how you added bits and pieces of the original Halloween score, but you added your own unique touch to it as well to make it like so authentic. I love the score in the film.
Thank you so much. Kudos to my music team, me, Tim Jones, Brent Lee, and Aaron Poland. We spent days making the soundtrack. It was a lot of fun. So Brent Lee, all the guitar stuff you hear is like, it's not MIDI or anything. It's him actually playing a guitar tapped to my computer, and I feel like he added just so much to it.
Hey, I liked it. Like I said, it was a cool score. I also love the shot on the start of the film where you see Loomis like running into the shadows, all stressed out looking for Michael. I love that zoom in shot, how you guys zoomed right into Loomis when he was like on his way to go find Michael. That was a phenomenal shot.
Yeah, so we were outside shooting the Patrick scene, right? And I was with Mason Perry, our gaffer, and we walked out in the street. And I saw them two big lights. And I'm like, this looks more Exorcist than Halloween. I was like, but this will be the perfect shot if we could just get him walking through those lights. We'll just get that nice silhouette, and everything is dark. And we walk out there, and like 17 cars just keep driving by, and we cannot get the shot. We're just sitting there. People would go out there, then you have to run back and go out there. Then we finally got it. I was almost ready to give up. I'm like, I want this shot so damn bad. We're just going to sit here and wait while they're set up at the next shot. We love, it's one of my favorite shots as well. I just love it.
Oh, I did too. I got to enjoy it. So, Mark, where'd you film the asylum building at, where you see all the lunatics running out with Michael? It kind of remind me a little bit of Arkham Asylum a little bit.
We actually shot that in a hallway inside of Wright State University.
Shut the front door.
It was a college, but it ended up working so well. It had the correct aesthetic we wanted. And then the courtyard we shot it in was another building, just like, maybe 100 feet right next door. So we got really lucky with that location.
Now, Lewis, let's talk about your kill scene, man. Boy, you got it pretty good.
That was the most excited part of the movie I was. Like, I could not wait to die. Like, every time it even came to the conversation of, like, being in the movie, whether it's being with, like, my friends, my coworkers, my family, I was like, I just can't wait to die. Like, it was, like, so teasing. Because every time I would go on set and work with, like, one of the amazing actresses, like Alexis or, like, Abby or Paige, like, after I would work with them for the day, they would die at the end of the day. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. But and like it was just like putting a carrot in front of me, like, when do I get to die? And just like when it came down to it, I was just so pumped for that day. That was the most fun I've ever had on set. And it was on my bucket list of things I wanted to do as an actor. And since I've knocked it off so quickly, I have to like readjust my list.
Hey, why not, right? I also liked the kill scenes. They were solid kills, not too bloody, but just right. And I loved it because it was like practical kills, which made the film more, like original and authentic to the original film.
Yeah, actually, I remember when I was kind of talking to Tom about this, and we kind of brought up the idea of special effects, and I was like, no, I kind of want to bring in the spirit of the original Halloween. I don't want to show a lot. How do I want to say this? There's not a lot of blood in this movie, but you feel like you saw a bloodbath.
Yeah.
So we wanted to shoot it in a classier way, like the original. But yeah, we do a lot with very, very little.
That's what I liked about it, especially the kitchen scene. But I'm not going to, spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. But that kitchen scene, man, there was some brutal, stabbing going on there a little bit.
Yeah, that was the first. So when me and Owen were kind of writing the script, that was the first death I had in mind. And I really wanted to make all of these deaths really uncomfortable in their own way. So that close up on the eye really sells that uncomfortability, and it's the cherry on top. So I want to give props to Thomas for that shot. It's incredible.
Now, Owen, what was some of your favorite scenes since you co-wrote it that you really loved that was shot into the film?
Yeah, Mark and I just have like we're really good at bouncing ideas off of each other. And it wasn't hard to do with this film either. We had a bunch of ideas. I really loved the whole opening scene. I wasn't present when Mark wrote that one, but the whole asylum scene at the beginning, segueing into that title card, is perfect. but I would have to say my favorite is probably Catherine's death. I came up with the idea that I wanted to incorporate hedge clippers, and Mark instantly was like, yes, let's do it. Let's figure it out. And they shot it perfectly. Tom, you did fantastic with the lighting in that scene too. And you just, it's so claustrophobic, which is why I think it works so well as a scary scene and just as a, you know, a bloodbath in itself, you know?
Hey, I thought it was perfect. I love the hedge clippers. Like I said, Tom was shooting all the scenes pretty good. I just loved how he zoomed in, zoomed out on certain scenes. And another shot, Tom, I loved what you did was when Mark as the shape. I love the zoom in shot you did where you just see Mark as a shape with his knife just like stabbing real slow, silent, quick and stabs. And you can imagine it in your head what he's doing to that victim. I just love how he was going in real slow and silent.
Yeah, thank you. Like Mark said, we really wanted a lot of smoke and mirrors. We wanted to show a lot with a little, and I think we really set these inserts up, got the right angles, took our time, and just made sure it looked amazing. The work speaks for itself, man. Mark killed it.
Yes,
we all killed it. We all killed it.
I also like the ending. I love how you shot the ending. I'm not going to ruin it for everybody, but I love it because is there going to be a continuation from that ending shot?
Quite possibly. I've had so many people already ask me if there's going to be a sequel. It's not something I've thought about in depth, but it is a possibility. It is a possibility.
And I also like how you mentioned Laurie Strode too. It was kind of weird not having her in it, but I knew where you were going with that too. It was kind of, at least you referenced Laurie.
I had to, man. It was a Halloween film.
Yeah, you better. So, Alexis, since this is your first horror film you've been in, so before you were part of this fan film, did you watch any of the Halloween films before you got into this role?
Yeah, actually. So, Mark asked me to go to the Ohio Theater. They were playing the first Halloween film, and it was very cool to see it, how it would have originally been seen for the first time, and it was my first time. So it was such a special moment, and at that time, I didn't even know about this project. I don't even know if it was the thought in their head, but yeah, that was the only Halloween film I've seen to date now.
So, Mark, how'd you bring Alexis in? Was she your first person to play Nancy?
I kind of had her in mind when I was writing Nancy. So she was one of the very first people I sent the casting call out to. And I told her, take your time with this. I really want you to do well. And then I kind of gave it a week, and then I sent the casting call out to, the public. And this film got, 40 auditions, right, Owen? 40 auditions. And Alexis performed exactly how I expected her to. It was exactly what I wanted. And I think once we saw her tape, me and Owen were like, yeah, let's bring her in. We have to.
Hey.
Oh, it makes me feel good.
Hey, you should feel good, Alexis, because you nailed that role. I mean, you really did that role perfect to play a Nancy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, Lewis, how'd you become part of the film, and were you the main idea for Ben?
Sorry, I had to unmute real quick. I just wanted to work with Mark again. Like I was like dead determined. So we met on set earlier in the year on The Uncondemned, and we just vibed so well. And I've always wanted to do a horror movie as a true, I would say a sommelier of horror. I have watched all of the Halloweens. I've seen pretty much any horror movie that's known to the public consensus. I've seen them. I just wanted to be in this, and I would kill to do another horror movie with Mark. I'm serious about that. Don't test me.
We'll talk.
Okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to be in it at any capacity.
Okay, Lewis, since you know a lot about horror and all that, or the psychological part, I have a film I bet you probably never seen. Have you ever seen Night of the Hunter with Robert Mitchum?
Okay, no. I was like trying to rack my brain. No, that doesn't even sound vaguely familiar. Like, when did it come out?
Oh, it came out around, I think, around the 60s. Robert Mitchum plays this serial killer who's dressed like a preacher, and he has his knuckles tatted, and he's like slowly hunting down these young little kids, who witness him murdering some people.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you need to check that out. That's one of those movies that's,
I was about to say, I'm adding that to the watch list. Adding it.
Yeah, you add that one too, Alexis.
Yes, to my very small list that I've seen.
Yeah. I was actually just thinking the entire time you were talking about horror and whether like we had seen it. I had one thing definitely like crossed my mind the entire time, like filming, which was like a few weeks for me. Like you can tell that it is a horror movie made by horror movie fans. And as you were saying, like doing so much with so little, it's because like as horror fans, we know what horror fans ultimately want, what they want to see, and what they want in their films. They don't want CGI. They want practical. They want suspense. They want dread. You got to build dread to have a good horror movie. It's not jump scares. It's not sound effects. It is making do with what you have and making it believable. And like I gotta give kudos to Mark because I know that him and we are just horror through and throughout. And it just bleeds into this film. It bleeds all over this film, and it bleeds out of this film.
Tom, since you're also a filmmaker too, do you think independent horror is on fire right now? Because you're seeing a lot of indie horror films showing up on the big screen now.
I 100% agree. I think Terrifier even really put it into perspective what they've done. I mean, the first film completely indie. They fund the second one, all independent, and now look at them now. And that's just one film, right? There's many others, but I think that was like the big one of late that really just put us into perspective that this group of people right here could make that next film. It's up to us, right? We don't have to rely on companies that won't talk to us or investors we can't reach or people or big box office. We don't care. If we, like Lewis said, if we have the love and the drive, the sky's the limit. We could do whatever the hell we want, and that's what we're going to do.
And you guys better, because there was another film they showed on the big screen too. I don't know if you guys ever seen it. It was called Slaughterhouse. It's about a sloth that goes around killing sorority girls at a sorority house.
I love
Slaughterhouse? That I have to add that to my list.
Yeah, you can watch it on Tubi. I had the filmmakers on my podcast. They used a puppet sloth, and it's all practical effects. And there's one scene in the movie that showed one of the sorority girls. It was like a dark, stormy night, and she's going through this room. You see the lightning shine up, and you see the sloth on one piece of furniture. And then when the lights shut off again from the thunder, you see him again coming closer to the girl. So he's slowly like stalking her through certain shots.
That's amazing.
And they used a puppet for the Slaughterhouse. It was all run by puppeteers, which is pretty cool. It just looks so real. You guys got to check out Slaughterhouse.
That honestly makes it even more impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, heck yeah. So, Lewis, you said this was your first horror film you were in, or were you in any other horror films?
Yeah, this is the first horror film. I haven't been in a lot of films as of late. I've been in mostly like I would say just comedies and student films. This is the first horror movie I've been in. Always wanted to. My mom got me into horror. It's funny because like that's how we like bonded when I was younger. Like if we were just we had nothing to do. I was 7 and she would just turn on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Like that was our bonding experience. So like this is my first one, but hopefully like this is the first of like 3 dozen.
Hey, speaking of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I told this to Tom and Mark. Well, I'll tell you, since you watched it, did it teach you the safety use of power tools?
Oh yeah. I'm actually an engineering technician, like as a full-time job. So that's really like my first encounter with any type of tool. So yeah, I do operate and use a lot of power tools in my day-to-day life, and I attribute that to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
All right, Owen. Have you wrote any other horror films besides this fan film with Mark?
I haven't written any that have been filmed and put out, but I mean, I'm definitely working on some, and Mark is definitely involved, I think, hopefully, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah, so Mark's involved in some. I've got a lot of ideas going right now, and hopefully that'll be on screen sometime soon as well.
Yeah, and I better be an extra in the film where I get like brutally beat up or something. So just think of me as like a victim.
I got you. Yeah, fake blood and everything.
Oh,
Make
heck
sure you
yeah.
get it all.
I always wanted to be a victim. Something brutal, imaginative. Like, oh, yeah, we'll fuck with Rob. We'll do this brutal scene. He'll be like, what the fuck did I get into? Oh, and one more question for you guys. You guys showed the film with Tom's film Forever Friends at the Lenox Theater in Columbus. So what was the audience's reaction on both films, and how big of a sellout was it?
Still very overwhelming to talk about, but in a good way. It was a packed theater, and I mean, people were screaming, they were cheering, they were gasping, they were laughing. Every reaction in between, Friends Forever and the 70s Slasher, every reaction me and Tom wanted, they hit.
That's pretty good, Tom. How were you feeling? Plus, your film Forever Friends was being shown as a double feature. What was going through your head when people were reacting to your film?
I loved every minute of it. Actually, on this podcast right now, Lewis, when he came up and told me like the opening scene for Friends Forever is like one of the craziest shit he's ever saw in his life. I'm like, that's the best compliment I could ever ask for. And
yes, I wanted to say verbatim that I was a ball of anxiety the entire opening scene, and it was just insane. Continue, Tom. I just wanted to get that out there.
No, I really appreciate it. It meant a lot to me. But I think we sold right around 250 tickets. I can't remember if it was 249, 250, 251, something like that. But I mean, they had to upgrade us to a 300-person theater to see this, and I've never even seen a movie screen that big in my life, and let alone see our films on that screen. It just, there's no words to even just standing ovation, and when it was all over, went on for it seemed like forever. And I think my favorite moment is when Mark and I started speaking at the end and the lights were off, and everyone turned their cell phone lights on so they could see us, and we could see them. And I thought that was just a beautiful moment that I'll probably never forget, no matter where I go from.
That's awesome. And plus, in Friends Forever, I loved Colleen's role. So how much people really got into Colleen's acting in that role, man? I'm still scared of her. I don't think I could be friends with her, but she really tripped me out when I saw her role in that film.
Yeah, the person sitting beside me when it was filming, it's like, she's putting on an acting clinic. And I'm like, yes, she is, because that monologue was probably one of my favorite monologues I've ever filmed in my life. It might be for a very long time. And the preparation that she put into that role, it speaks volumes, and you see it on the screen. Like that was a very difficult monologue to do.
Okay, so where can everybody find you guys on social media so they can know what you're doing next? I'm definitely going to stalk Alexis to see what she's going to do next.
Send me horror films, please, all of you.
Oh, trust me, you're going to be getting a list.
I love it.
You can find me on Instagram under the @MarkMurtha. You can find the 78 Slasher on YouTube under the account Slappy Productions. You can follow me on Facebook @MarkMurtha as well. And like I mentioned in the last episode we recorded for you, I have a podcast called Creep It 100, and we talk about all things horror there.
Yay! And I better be a guest on there in the near future.
You absolutely will, once we get season 3 rolling.
Nice. Okay, Owen, where can everybody find you?
So the main two things I use is you can find me on Instagram and YouTube under Oasaurus Rex. I created that when I was 11. Don't judge me for the name.
We won't. Do you also have your Masters of the Universe lunchbox there too? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Absolutely, it's in every video.
And of course, Tom, where can everybody find you?
On Instagram at Thomas_Angeletti_. You can find our films at Awesome Films on Instagram, also Awesome Films on Facebook and YouTube, and then just Thomas Angeletti on Facebook.
And you, Lewis?
You can find me at Lewis B. Hauff on pretty much anything, like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, IMDb, Lewis B. Hauff.
And you, where can everybody find Alexis?
Yeah, so my last name is a long one, so Neuenscwander. So you can find me at Alexis_, just type in NEUENS, and the Schwander should come up after that. So you should find me on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok, Facebook, and then IMDb. And on IMDb, I'm under Alexis Nicole Neuenscwander.
All right. You guys, thank you for coming on. It was a blast. I had a blast with you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
It was a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for expanding my horror knowledge. Cheers to everyone.
Yeah, cheers to everybody.
Cheers.
And everybody have a great evening. And thank you for listening to Horror Pop After Midnight. Good night.